You are about to witness the very exciting story of a city and its people. It will be an adventure that will open new sights in familiar surroundings. It is a story of a city seeking new horizons in a resolute contest with great challenges. That city is Detroit. Detroit has earned an outstanding record in community relations, a reputation which is nationally recognized.
The crime of murder is not unusual in this country, and nowhere is that more apparent than in Detroit.
The 750 murders last year was a record for Detroit, murder capital of the country. Detroit's murder rate is twice that of New York and Chicago. It is 4 times that of some cities.
Why does Detroit have more murders?
Drug pushers, procurers, killers are considered heroes of sorts.
I'm hoping that it never comes to the point where I have to take someone's life, but I do it to protect myself.
Drugs play a part in about 1/4 of the killings, but experts say just living in such miserable surroundings causes frustrations that lead to violence. And violence is common here.
The friendliness of its people reaches out.
I could go out and kill somebody and go home and take my girlfriend to dinner.
The warmth of the city, the excitement of change, the dedication to progress, social, spiritual, cultural, and material.
Detroit's gangland is locally run. When others try to move in, the message is clear: kill them all.
Is equaled only by its 20th century vision. The city on the straits welcomes you to share that vision as it continues to plan, to build, and yes, to dream.
Detroit is armed and dangerous. There are an estimated 1.2 million guns here, more guns than there are people.
This 22 automatic, I keep that one under my pillow with me.
Along with his 22, Art Sims owns a 9mm automatic pistol, an assault rifle, and a sawed-off shotgun. He lives in one of Detroit's better neighborhoods.
Hardest hit, it appears, is Detroit, where there were at least 13 carjackings this weekend alone.
The city of Detroit has always been a symbol for America, a land of opportunity where hard work can earn you a happy life. But now Detroit has become the flip side of the American dream. It has become the American nightmare.
Detroit, an exciting place to be, to live, to grow, to work shoulder to shoulder, regardless of national origin, color, or creed.
4 days of rioting, looting, and arson rocked the city of Detroit in the worst outbreak of urban racial violence this year. Entire blocks of homes become infernos. At least 36 are killed, more than 2,000 injured, and damage topped the $500 million mark. Governor Romney declares a state of emergency, requests federal troops and 5,000 paratroopers reinforce the National Guard, state and city police. A besieged city of guerrilla warfare. Sniper groups use day and night hit-and-run tactics before tanks move in to curb their window and rooftop barrage.
Riots, looting, and public disorder will just not be tolerated.
There were armed troops patrolling my neighborhood, jeeps going by with machine guns on them, and soldiers in full battle dress. Checkpoints, tanks, fellas in helmets with M1s over their shoulder. It was scary.
It's 40 years ago this week that Detroit erupted in flames, in riot. After 5 days, the city had seen some of the deadliest and most destructive rioting in U.S. history. and at least 2,000 buildings burned to the ground.
The riot was sparked by tension between black residents and white cops. It was bred by poverty, hopelessness, and despair.
I was 16 years old, still in high school, when the city burned down around me. I'd never seen anything like it, and I hope I never do again.
That the vast majority of Negroes and whites are shocked and are outraged by them. Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights.
Times during the riot where it was too dangerous for firemen to try to put out fires, so things just burned. And when it was all over, there wasn't a whole lot left. It was really living in a battle zone. Just emphasize that this wasn't just a ruin and it wasn't just a fire, it was these were people's houses. One minute they were living at home and the next minute they were completely out on the street. And I don't know that the city's ever recovered from that trauma.
As the 70s dawned and the flames of 12th Street slowly cooled, the white population of Detroit began one of the largest migrations in U.S. history. In 1960, Detroit had almost 1.2 million white residents. By 1980, there were only 400,000. Businesses evaporated. Once thriving commercial strips like Gratiot, Grand River, and Livernois became ghost towns. The murder rate soared. According to FBI statistics, in 1960, there'd been 172 homicides in the city. In 1970, there were 495, and by 74, there were nearly 800. Detroit had ceased to be Motown and was now known all across America as the Murder City.
Among big cities last year, Detroit had the highest murder rate and the highest unemployment rate. White people have left this city in record numbers. Experts say many of the black people who remain are worse off now than they were before the riots in 1967.
And thus began a rich and inspiring history which has brought Detroit to its finest hour, the today of which we are a part.
Today, according to CNBC, its murder rate of 1 per 1,719 people last year was more than 11 times the rate in New York City. Justifiable homicide in Detroit rose by an astounding 79% during 2011. And Michael Snyder notes recently that the rate of self-defense killings in the city of Detroit was 2,200% above the national average. That's a very violent place to live.
In the national media, interest in Detroit as a symbol of America's dark side has waned, as the city is now so socially and economically isolated from the mainstream that, for the average American, death in Detroit is every bit as distant as famine in Africa or war in Afghanistan. What the future holds for Detroit is uncertain, but one thing will always be true: Detroit is the Murder City.
I'm honored to be a participant in the Detroit story.